Okay guys, I'm sorry about the thumbnail. Everyone's probably doing the exact same thumbnail for this movie. I had to do it, right? This movie is called Smile, and if you guys have seen the trailers, yes, characters are going like this a lot in the movie, so I had to do that in the thumbnail. So, hey guys, my name is Brandon, aka the BrandoCritic. Thank you guys so much for being here today. I really do appreciate it, and today I'm going to give you my honest, no BS, non-spoiler movie review for you today about Smile, or for the movie Smile, and tell you if it's worth a watch today. And if you guys are new to the channel, I don't normally do these one-take videos, but I've been trying them a lot recently, and they have actually been doing pretty well. So I'm going to try it again with this movie because I just got out of it, and I saw that Chris Stuckman posted his review already, so I'm like, well, you know what, let's go a little bit experimental. Let's move the camera a little bit. Let's show a different side of the room. You can see all my old video games back there. And yeah, this is just going to be a one-time or one-take thing, just minimal edits maybe if I just want to cut out the ums and the uhs. And stick around till after the rating. I actually do want to talk about the ending of this movie because I'm not a fan of it, and this is just a personal thing, but let's get into the movie. So, the director of this movie is Parker Finn. This is actually his very first movie he's ever directed, feature-length movie. I think he's made 2 shorts before. And it stars Sosie Bacon, is it Sosie or Saucy? Whatever the case may be. Kevin Bacon's daughter, Kyle Gallner, and Jessie T. Usher are the stars of this movie. Now, I saw the trailer for this movie, and I'm like, oh boy, I don't know if I would want to watch that because it just looks bizarre. It looks so strange, but it was intriguing. I was curious about it, so I said, okay, depending on what's going on that week, we'll see how it goes. And there's a lot going on this week for me, but my manager was like, hey, we got 2 tickets for this early event. You know, you'll be watching it with other people, but let's go see it. I go, okay, let's give it a try. I enjoyed it. I gotta tell you guys this as well. I'm not a big horror person. I get scared way too easily. And this movie, well, you know what? Let's just go back on that. As a kid, I didn't grow up watching horror movies because I was scared a lot, you know, from everything. Prince of Egypt, the DreamWorks movie, kept me up for weeks. That's how I really learned about slavery in 1998 when I was 3 or 4 years old. But regardless, nowadays, you know, I can watch The Exorcist and no problem, Poltergeist, Scream, no problem. But there are some movies that just make me feel very uncomfortable and just are very scary. I felt like Candyman last year had that effect on me, and this movie had that effect on me as well. I thought it was very, very scary. I have a couple of notes down here, so this is not just completely off the top of my head. I do have some notes just to keep me on track for this review, because again, I'm going to try to one-take it as much as I can. But man, this movie is scary. And, you know, I've been talking to some people who are not the biggest horror fans, and they're like, well, you know, tell me after the movie if I should go see it, like, because I get scared a lot, or really, really easily, and I'm like, I don't know, like, this movie is scary. There was many moments in this movie where I was, like, plugging my ears and just kind of going, like, because I know it's coming. I know those jump scares are coming, but there are some really good and effective jump scares in this movie. And, you know, with jump scares, too, like, anyone can do a jump scare. Like, someone could just do, like, a boo in the middle of a music video or YouTube video, right? It's late. I'm just trying to wing it, guys. So apologies if any of those things happen again. It doesn't take a lot of effort to make a good jump scare, right? Like, they're pretty cheap, and they're not necessarily scary, but they're startling. But in this movie, they did a really good job at making those jump scares scary, but it wasn't just the jump scares that were scary. It was the atmosphere. The score was very, very creepy. It was like bone-chillingly creepy. The situations that the characters were in were also very, very scary, but also the imagery. You know what? I wasn't actually going to talk about this, but I'll say this. My very first nightmare, I actually remember it. It was like, all I could remember was that the Cat in the Hat was like profile view and like talking to somebody else, and he's like going, oh yeah, it's cool. And he looks at the camera and he goes, ah! I was like 3 or 4 years old, and I remember that was my first nightmare. So having like weird creatures with big scary eyes look like directly into the camera of a movie and just go like, I'm coming to get you kind of thing, like where you just see the devil incarnate, right? That to me gets scary when it's like looking right into the camera. Like there's this one shot in The Conjuring, I think you guys know which one I'm talking about, where it kind of like zooms in on the woman's face when she goes, that's where I check out, where I go, that is where I get completely scared. So it's the imagery as well. But it's not just that, where you see a lot of, you know, ways that these people died. And, I'm not really into the whole gore porn, like when there's just blood everywhere. I think that can get pretty cheap. But in this movie, they did a really good job at showing the really, really disgusting and horrifying ways that this monster really works and how this curse really works. And the curse is the embodiment of trauma, right? And I like how this movie does not just say, oh, it's just a monster who's been in legend for thousands of years and it's come back now to get revenge on humanity for the things that were done to it by the settler. It's nothing like that. The monster really is the embodiment of trauma, and the movie's about guilt and letting go and forgiveness and how you can carry traumatic experiences with you for a very long time. And it talks about suicide. I won't spoil what the actual monster is or what the curse actually is or how it works. Of course, people smile, right? That's how it works, of course, in the trailer. But I won't go too deep into that because I do want to stay away from spoilers for the most part. I will get into spoilers after the rating. I gotta say, though, that I like how horror movies turn into detective movies for the most part, because when a certain character is discovering certain things, they're going to place, they're going to person, asking certain things, finding out more about the disease, the monster, the curse, the antagonizing force in the movie. And, Sosie Bacon, I'm going to say Sosie Bacon, she was fantastic in the movie. You definitely could see her becoming unhinged, and she did a really great job at trying to portray that character who is just hanging on by a thread. Like she knows that she's not crazy. She knows what she's seeing, but yet all these crazy things are happening to her, and all these characters around her are basically just going like, you know what? You are completely crazy, but it's fighting that. In every disaster movie, right? There's always that one character who, sees the disaster coming. They see the end of the world, but no one believes them. And of course, we know what the character is experiencing. So that's another way for us to get connected to the character. And she does a great job in that. And also, yeah, I just love how she portrays herself in this movie. And I love how this movie's plot unfolds with the detective-like nature. So, yeah, in a horror movie, I want to feel fear. And this movie definitely did it. And I don't want to necessarily just have this review be, oh, this is a scary movie. Great movie, right? Like, because what scares people is very subjective. But what I like about this movie is that the scares and the fear come from not only jump scares, so it's startling, scary imagery, not only in just disgusting goriness, because there's not a lot of blood in this movie. It is just disturbing imagery, disturbing body dysmorphia, disturbing monsters, disturbing looks of certain people, of course. Some smiles can be funny, but trust me, there are some very, very scary moments in this movie with the people smiling, especially when they don't just go like this. It kind of like is the slow build-up between. That's where it gets really scary. And of course, is this character hallucinating? What's real, what's not real? So you're always questioning things, which is, being in the unknown is scary. So having our character be in unknown circumstances all the time, that's what's really scary about it. So for an overall rating, I'm going to say that this movie is very well executed and very scary. I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. I really, again, I don't want to say that I really enjoyed it, but I think I really appreciate this movie because I don't necessarily go out of my way to watch horror movies very often unless they're extremely entertaining. This movie, I was entertained because I was constantly wondering what's going to happen next, so that's always a good thing, but man, this one chilled me to the core, really. But now, going into spoilers, this is the ending. I'm not going to necessarily tell you what exactly happens in the ending, but just the overall general idea. And certain horror movies do this, and just personally, I'm not a fan of it. Our character comes face to face with the monster at the end. And we realize that our main character has been holding on to guilt because of trauma that she had experienced when she was a child. And she learns to let it go. And then, of course, she confronts the monster and then defeats it, right? AKA, she learns to let go of her trauma and she let go of her guilt. It's a good character arc. But then again, you find out, no, turns out the monster wins. Mental health problems and anxieties and psychiatric issues They win out. The monster wins. And I don't know, I just feel like it's like I'm cheated from that. I always want to see the character succeed, and I can understand that, you know, walking out of the theater knowing that the monster wins, you know, it means that it's a lot scarier. Like, even in Halloween, like the original Halloween, when Michael Myers is no longer there, so of course it's like, oh, I wonder where he is. Like, I can understand that, but when the monster just outright wins, to me, I feel a bit cheated. Now, I understand why people like it. Like I said, of course, when the monster wins, that means that, of course, you leave the theater very scared. And that's what a horror movie should do. But I don't know. That's just my own personal opinion about it. So that's my one take review of... you know what's funny? I actually have my computer out here, and I have a bunch of movie posters as like my screensaver, and then Twister was there from 1996, and I was about to say... Those are my thoughts on Twister. I have a review of Twister. You can go check that out. It's a long video, or the video that came out a long time ago. But anyways, those are my thoughts on Smile. It's a very good horror movie. Let's say, for the phrase you got to put in the comments to say that you've made it this far, say, I love Twister from 1996. That's the phrase. Okay, guys. Moving on now. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys again next time. Let's end it there. Hit like and subscribe. See you soon. Take care.